Okay, so we are continuing from 32. Uh, did we finish nine? I don't think so. 32 9.
No, we were at the end of eight. I don't think we did the final line.
Okay, of eight, huh? Um,
Yes.
okay, so uh, if I am uh, of those, meaning of those uh, who commit Aina, uh, that that Mazda is in your uh, decision or in your judgment. Um, so here, uh, Zarathustra distances himself, hoping let's say, distancing himself from such committers of Aina uh, like Yima, um, and taking up with the motif of his declaring himself, as far as he knows, uh, not uh, culpable. He says, so if I am Ahmi um, among those, um, Thvahmi Wichithoi Api Mazda, that is in thy uh, decision or determination or hmm, yeah, judgment. Um, the the Ahmi Thvahmi is interesting as a rhyme effect, and I'm not completely sure that there isn't a double meaning in Ahmi, meaning something like in this matter, that is to say, Ahmi as locative of the pronoun. But uh, that's a possibility that you have a double meaning of Ahmi.
Um,
Thvahmi. Thvahmi locative, Ahmi locative. Andrew.
on the subject of double, we've been kind of talking about Yima, and I'm wondering, and you don't have to answer this if it takes us too far afield, but what I'm curious about is kind of the pre-form of Yima and Yama, namely, is it an H2 yod E M O? Is it a Hyemo?
In
And
Indo-European, yes.
yeah, so is this like a kind of, double like the doubled being? What is the meaning of it? Like it means twin, right? So what I'm wondering about is you know, like what the significance of being a doubled or a twinned.
Okay, so there um, is your question diachronic or synchronic, meaning relevant to our text?
Well, it's kind of diachronic. So if yeah, given the nature of that, then perhaps I don't want to detain us. So yeah.
Well, it's interesting. The ultimately the root has uh, laryngeal, and um, what is the Latin word behind imitate?
Well, yeah, I mean, they say that it's related to Imulus, right? So if it,
Imulus, and imitate is
yeah,
a
yeah.
derivative from what?
Well, so I mean, it seems
And
to,
there's something in Hittite, chima.
yeah, there's
Yeah,
a hema, which is a what, the ritual substitute. Isn't that the case, Michael?
yeah.
Right. So is the yama or the hyemo, is he basically like a ritual substitute? I mean, in this, I mean, I know he's the brother of Manu in.
Well, wait. Wait a minute. Let's before we get into mythology, I think the basic idea is a kind of counterpart. So, twin conceived of counterpart.
Hmm.
Uh, and yeah, the word that gives you in Iranian the word for a twin, also an Indic. Uh, so, you set up a word within the European uh, second laryngeal, uh, meaning uh, counterpart, giving you twin. And you have a myth of Indo-European twins, yeah? Quite apart from the etymology of the word twin, the word yama and so forth. Uh, what that mythology of twinship, uh, you have different scenarios. I won't speak for the Old Norse, the Ymir of Old Norse. Um, I'll nor you know Romulus and with a star, Yemos becoming Romulus and Remus. I won't get into that stuff, but know that there is a question of what's up with Old Norse Ymir and um, Remus and all that stuff. So limiting uh, discussion to the Indo-Iranian. Um, yeah, you have uh, a myth of uh, Yama, and I think his brother is Manu. Yeah,
Hmm.
okay. However, um, more importantly, there's a second twinship in Indo-Iranian, which is between Yama and his twin sister, called in Vedic Yami. And there is a famous hymn of the 10th mandala of the Rig Veda, which features a dialogue between brother and sister. Um, the sister, and I'm sure much more could be said about this, but it's relevant for at least Indo-Iranian. The sister wants to mate with her brother, to have sex with her brother. Uh, Yama does not wish for this to take place, and he gives her reasons why it's not appropriate. So, on the Iranian side, um, the traces of such a myth are um, found within the Pahlavi literature, which goes back, the datum in question goes back to something more ancient, uh, where the brother and sister uh, do mate. Um, and I don't have all the data here. It's a bit complicated because there seems to be something pejorative in the details, but um, I think that this also serves as a rationale for the much debated um, intercourse among Iranians between brother and sister. It's very hot stuff among Zoroastrians today. I mean, it's very touchy. I won't waste time with my own experience of how touchy that can be. I mean, I'll just say this much. There was a conference in Southern California, and a young scholar gave reasons why he thought that the idea of there having been in ancient Iran intercourse between brother and sister, and it goes even further, son and mother and whatnot. He tried to show that this is wrong, that that didn't occur. Nevertheless, the very mention of the topic was touchy enough for him and his teacher to be accused of believing that and being in some way anti-Zoroastrian, and it went on from there. So touchy matter. I do think that there is evidence for this kind of what we would call incestuous relationships going on, but that's something I'm not going to get into. Suffice it to say that we have an Indo-Iranian myth with two different resolutions of Yama and his twin sister doing it or not doing it. On the one hand, it gets more interesting, specifically for Zoroastrianism. And this I already discussed in my 2006 article, How Zarathustra Generated the Gothic Corpus. If you chart Yasna 30 alongside Yasna 32, and I believe 32 is the older poem, you'll find a nice chart of that in my article. You'll see that, among other things, other interesting charts with a verb yam, to grasp and stuff like that, and the name Yima, kind of association of Yima and the verb yam, which is another factor, even though from an Indo-European viewpoint, I don't think they're related. The idea that the two primordial spirits are twinned. Well, that's there in Yasna 30. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They line up.
Mm-hmm.
So it's as though Zarathustra was recycling the mere mention of the name of the figure who in our text is called Yima, with a twinship of the two spirits. It's as though he said, oh, I'll call them twins. This is a very curious matter. The very fine details of how this came about in Zarathustra's mind, who can say? But they do line up, and I will say that in Bakesian terms, Yama, twin, as a name, suggested the completely unrelated twinship of the two primordial spirits. That's interesting stuff, I think. And you can see what I said about that there. I think I don't say much more beyond what I'm saying now, but
But but is it fair to say that Yama in Indo-Iranian terms is associated, is somewhat of a transgressive figure?
in Indo-Iranian terms, I'm trying to think of how Yama could be transgressive on the Indic side.
I mean, maybe not on the Indic side. Anyway, I
Oh,
mean,
you say Indo-Iranian, so
yeah, yeah, I guess, yeah. Anyway, I'm sorry. I don't want to detain us with this matter. I don't want
not.
to.
It's. I think it's relevant. I mean, if you ask about the figure of Yima being transgressive, so in our text, I don't think he's transgressive because of this. I think whole other myth uh, of the question of his sister. He's transgressive uh, for the tradition uh, of 32:8 uh, in that uh, he somehow manifested hubris and so forth. So yes, he's definitely transgressive, but
Right, yeah.
yeah.
What,
Uh,
what was the nature of his outrage exactly? I mean, these I know home.
well, so if the thesis, well, to answer your question directly, um, he instituted his own worship by, as he says, he merely wished to do to gratify his subjects, our people, uh, with a god. It's like they wanted someone to worship, in my interpretation, and so he gave them a god, ergo baga, instrumental,
Hmm.
with a god, and um, the idea that there was seems some kind of trial that's alluded to here uh, makes us wonder whether there isn't some lost tradition. I don't know, textual somewhere once upon a time or not. I suppose it would have to have been somehow textual for it to be preserved. Uh, that antecedes our 32:8. Um, but to answer your question, um, he, gauche, uh, went astray, as it were, um, in uh, his declaration that he merely wished to satisfy human beings, his subjects, with a God, namely, and this is me saying, namely himself, my interpretation. One could imagine a situation in which there was a question. Uh, was Yema a god or not? Uh, Michael made the interesting observation that in the Rig Veda, uh, he is just a Rajan, um, but not a Deva or the like, um, which is interesting. Um, and he is treated in the Rig Veda as though he was a god. He seems to have the trappings of divinity, and he is usually called by scholars uh, the god of the underworld, the god of the dead. But uh, it is probably relevant that he is not called a god, but he's godlike. Very clear that he's godlike. Uh, that's that's in the Indic situation. In the Iranian situation, we have the hard and fast datum of Bactrian coinage, in which a figure named Yamsh, Yamsh written Yamsha. I don't know what the O, it could just be a schwa, could be O. But that is Yama something. It it probably means a ruler one way or another, however one derives that shah. But he has the appearance of a divinity. These are coins in which you have on one side of the coin a divinity. He's sitting there with a bird in hand, and the trappings of a divinity. And there are theonymic forms with Yamshin, Bactrian, and there's also Sogdian evidence of a cult of Yama in Sogdiana. So there may have been a question in the background of 32.8 whether Yama was a god or not, and a myth developing whereby he proclaimed himself to be a god. A myth which resonates as late as the period of Ferdowsi, as I wrote about in my Feshlift article. So anything more on this, the background of Yima and his putative divinity?
Well, I think I'm provisionally satisfied. Yeah.
Okay, one more thing. We should remember that the form in our text, Yima, is a young Avestinism. As against the form in Yasna 30, which is written Y schwa, Y long schwa M A dash. So you have Yima in the text of Yasna 30 versus Yima in the text of Yasna 32. Also in the text of Yasht. Caleb, do you remember where in which Yasht there's the Yima has the same form, Wang Husho, and he is guilty of some untruth, anahathim draugem, some lie.
I want to say the maybe Yash 19. I can look it up
You're
if you'd
saying
like.
19. I think it's 19. I think you're right. I think it's 19. Um, so there you have Yima, but that's a young Avestinism. Yeah. So that young Avestinism crept into our text. That is to say that the underlying vowel of the first syllable was not only fronted by the following M, but also, well, what do you want to call it? Patalized or whatever, they raised, I don't know, Yima becoming Yima. What process is that linguistically? It's what, raising? If you got an I vowel.
I mean, descriptively, yeah.
Huh?
Descriptively, it is raising it. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
raising
So the vowel there becomes I, and is
right.
picked up from the young Avestan matrix in which the Gathas were transmitted, and changes text. So it changes the, as it were, changes the form here to an I. But and the more conservative, because it wasn't influenced by the Yima myth, is the word Yima with a long schwa in Yasna 30 meaning twin or twins. I thought I would mention that. Anything else? Okay. Fortunately, no one has asked me what the I Shamshit is. I don't know. Thereby, is that a preposition? I'm not sure. I don't know what the is. Don't think it's important. Okay. So now we have the first of a number of verses in our text in which you have a verbal stem written morenda, which we would have to take as MR syllabic N de morenda, with the M labializing the vowel. Morenda, an N infix of a root marda, which occurs as mardhati in the Rig Veda. As I said, Shar correctly saw here the verb in this instance, meaning to make go to the wrong place, to derail, as it were. And in Yasta 51, where we have the stem marda, meaning to go to the wrong place, to miss the mark. And that R I take as an original Indo-European L and relate the root immediately to a series of Lithuanian forms, maldit and whatnot, having to do with erring and going wrong. And you could have a duh suffix to a root mel, but that's another discussion. I'm not sure. Yeah, well, it's irrelevant for us now. That could be Indo-European mel plus duh. Anyway, to make go askew, more than that. He made the Dusashti makes Shrawa. Go in the wrong way, meaning not, if we take Shrawa, plural, Shrawa, plural of Shrawa, it could mean, of course, reputations, like Sanskrit Shravas, Greek kleos, plural, or it could just mean words, utterances. And I think that both meanings apply. So the person whose proclamations are bad, sasti from the root san, dush, bad, the one of bad proclamations makes the srawa go in the wrong direction, deflects the srawa. And that same one, apparently you have to repeat the word morindat, makes the chratu, the intellect of life, jiateush, go askew with his proclaimings. I think Sanghana versus Sangha uh, is a pejorative word, just as we saw Xiaoman instead of Xiaothna. Okay.
So Sanghana is pejorative?
I believe so.
Okay. Yeah, it's kind of like I mean it's one of those very common Indo-Iranian nomina actionis. You know,
It is,
it's just kind of funny how it can get that pejorative
but
color.
I translated it as with his proclaimings, um, using the word proclaimings, which is not. It would be
Right. I
would
see
be
what you're
wrong
doing there.
even
Yeah.
in English. So I think that's yeah, with his proclaimings rather than with his proclamations,
Right.
with his declarings rather than with his declarations. Uh, that's the way I would try to suggest the pejorative nuance.
Yeah, if you'll permit me to ask about that or just maybe comment, I'm not sure. It's just
Hey, when do I not
interesting.
permit you? Yeah, go ahead.
Well, yeah, but so the thing is here, you know, if we were to translate it as in like proclaimings, and what I'm wondering is what happens when we kind of add, you know, native English morphology to, you know, Franco-Latinate word like proclaim, and it ends up with the pejorative sense, like I mean, I mean, it's only pejorative in the sense that it's something, it's somehow less optimal, it's not optimally formed, you know, proclaimings as opposed to proclamations. So it's just kind of, I don't know, I'm wondering whether the formal correlate of its pejorative sense is kind of the fact that we can use the suffix ing to create like a verbal abstract with anyway, it's just kind of anyway, it's deviant. Anyway, sorry. All right, I'm done talking. Sorry. What? I guess he's frozen. Oh well. Sorry.
Uh-oh.
I guess he'll come back.
I get your point. I just couldn't think of a more pejorative term.
Yeah, I mean but in the context I can see how it would be maybe not pejorative, but like with your proclaim. Yeah, I mean it is contemptuous, right? So, proclaimings.
Yeah, I see your point though. I feel like usually it's better to find a word that's kind of going out of usage in English. Like instead of saying child, you say spawn, and somehow that has a very easily, noticeable purpose versus proclaiming, you might have to be told that you're supposed to read it as pejorative. So uh, maybe if I look through a thesaurus or something, I could find a word.
Yeah, I mean, proclamation sounds so definitive and official, whereas
What about,
proclaimings, right? It's like what would we have if it were like the Emancipation proclaiming? I mean, it
yeah,
seems far less, you know, august and yeah,
Yeah,
what
well, it's
about
just the phenomenon of blocking, right? When you have a piece of
right.
morphology already there, then you don't, the other regularly formed piece sounds a little bit awkward, right? Like cooker, right?
Yeah,
Just blocked by
exactly.
cook. Yeah.
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 what do you guys think of the word promulgate?
Promulgate. It's a
Yeah,
negative word.
promulgations.
Yeah. Yeah. Promulgation is pretty good because that sounds rather negative. Yeah.
Oh,
Uh,
you're the host now. Michael, you're the host.
no. Okay. I don't know
Yeah.
that.
It just popped up on my screen. I think because Olga had dropped out of the call as well somehow. Their internet must have gone down again.
Hmm. Hmm. Mm.
Well, for the sake of making a comment about the text, it's interesting to observe that the translation of Morundat with spoils, right? Well, so that particular word Morundat, the subject of it is translated as blasphemer. And it's kind of interesting to observe that allegedly the blast part of blasphemer is related to the mor of Morundat in the sense that, I mean, at least, the blast part, the BL goes back to ml.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's, I guess, an S-stem, melos in the absolute zero grade. And yeah, I mean, there are various mels, but, there's a mel that, there's the mel of Latin multus, much, and there's the mel of Greek meleos, wretched. And it's kind of funny that there is this kind of prototypical mel meaning bad, as in malus. Um, so anyway, kind of intriguing.
Hmm.
What do we think about huo? Is that just from how? Is that I mean, just the regular development there of how at
Oh,
the end of a word?
Yeah, it's a young Avestan thing.
Yeah, young Augustinism.
Yeah, in the beginning of the following line, Schwartz has an argument for the Huoma uh,
Hmm. Hmm.
being in the Gothic pronunciation Halma, referring to Halma.
Right. Seems like Olga's back.
Yes.
hmm.
I don't know, unstable internet. Well, I think Andrew, we had better move ahead. Um, um,
Was I detaining us? I don't know.
the
Oh
internet,
yeah, yeah. Sorry,
the
sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. Well,
internet
yeah,
decided that we should move on,
yeah, yeah,
uh,
yeah. Sorry.
and therefore prevented us from moving on. Okay, so let's just say Senghanaish means proclamations, but with a pejorative nuance. Uh, and with the same subject of the Durchsastisch, uh, um, he has Appa Yanta, a nice example uh, of um, the directional um, particle Appa being repeated as a preverb meaning repeated right next to the root itself, which you can say is a younger Westernism, as a sort of scholium. It's like they're saying, okay, this apa yanta means apa, ellipsis yanta means upper yanta. From the root yam, middle voice, upper yam, yam, which indicates a putting together or a grabbing, holding on to like a bridle and all that stuff. So clasp, and with away, to grab away, clasp away, meaning to rob. So he has robbed, moreover, or me. That ma could be from the particle that you have in Vedic as sma, which would give you Iranian ma, to a secondary, recitational lengthening, or it could be me. And I think the ambiguity is probably intentional. So he has moreover robbed, or he has robbed me with regard to that ishti, which is the birchla hati of good mind. So ishti can be from ish, to be strong, ish, to be strong. So ishti, might, power, let's call it power. Or it could be from the root ish, with laryngeal at the end, meaning to put into motion, dispatch something, and thus send something. That much would be indicated by the concatenation with the ishyang at the end of the poem, those who would be sent, so that this word can mean both, I think, power and sending.
Out of curiosity here, so I see in the translation desire,
Yeah,
and,
I don't
and
believe it.
you don't believe that. So I just want, as an Indo-Europeanist, I just want to confirm some things. So I know you don't believe that, and in any case, I just want to say that the root for to request or ask, or and then in Indo-Iranian desire, right? Ichati, all that. That's
It's
H2E.
hati, yeah.
Yeah, H2EIS. Okay. What I wonder about when it comes to like the power and the force, those two roots, um, what I wonder about is how do we reconstruct the root that means power, and how do we reconstruct the root that means send?
Okay, the root that means send, um, I would reconstruct as laryngeal, I, S, uh, laryngeal, probably second laryngeal, maybe second laryngeal, I, S, second laryngeal, I don't know. But, you have Ishnati,
Mm-hmm.
so that's an infinx. Um, uh, and I think that root basically means to set something in motion. It can mean to animate. I think it's the same root as, the root to heal that you have in Greek, iatros, meaning to uh, energize, to make something full of vitality, um, and to dispatch, to send forth, to make go forward. Um, so, yeah, I think that is the sending business.
Okay, so unspecified laryngeal IS unspecified laryngeal.
I mean, it could be specified. Offhand, I don't know. My guess it's a second laryngeal. Do you have any ideas about that, Michael?
Well, do we think this is Greek hieros? Is this that root?
Hieros, dialectal. Hieros.
Yeah, there's also hieros, right?
Yeah.
I mean, do we think those are related?
Equal Sanskrit ishira.
Yeah,
I think so.
yeah.
I think so because
Well,
it's the
yeah,
idea of the holy is full of energy
yeah.
as opposed to belonging to the realm of death.
I
Those,
think the standard view is that points to an H1, but Jose Luis Garcia Ramon, I think, thinks that hieros is the original form and hieros is some modification of that. So I think he
thinks that in
deconstructs.
Greek, hieros is the original form and hieros is the modification.
Well, the standard view is hieros is the original, hieros is a modification, maybe a
Mhm.
dialectical modification. But Garcia Ramon, I think, believes that it's a H2 at the end of this root.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
He's been
And
on
hieros
he's been
is
on this for a very long time, has
yes, yes, yeah.
um mhm. Yeah, I don't know. But if you ask me, is this what we're talking about right now, the etymon of Vedic Ishira, in which the second is ambiguous, of course, and um, Greek hieros, I would say yes. But the Greek vowel before R is, of course, crucial. I don't know. Uh, Caleb, did you want to say something about that? No.
Oh, no, I
Uh,
have nothing to add.
Um, and so how do we reconstruct the verb that means to well it means force since
well,
HT
one
can also
one
mean
I think one way of doing it is the ish of, say, Sanskrit Ishvara. Uh,
right. So okay, that's
so
yeah
it's really Ishti,
yeah. Okay, so then that's
but it could be other things
H2EI
too.
paddle K.
I guess.
Yeah, H2EI paddle K. Okay, sorry.
I
Yeah.
don't know too much about that route. I haven't looked into it. Uh,
Well, I mean,
it could be something else offhand. I don't know what else. It could be as force, but I'm sure it means force. By the way, in Yasna 48, you have three different, I think three different ishtis, and if nothing else shows that there's a sort of play on ishti, that verse does, and that's 48. Oop.
while Martin is looking at so out of curiosity, how does a Vestin handle like what are the reflexes of a Vestin of say paddle K dental, like voiceless dental? How does that come out in a Vestin?
Okay.
Shta, right?
Shtuh.
With
Yeah,
shta, okay.
like
Yeah, that
ashta.
verse is 48:8, where you have two, Ishti and Ishia. Uh, I think only two. I remember three, but only two in Yasna 48. Yeah, that's shtuh. Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, if it's voiceless, no.
Okay, yeah. That makes sense. Sorry, I forgot sometimes. Yeah, I mean, anyway, okay.
So he um that Dushastish um has robbed me of my hmm, my power, my sending, which is the welcome, Birchla, Haiti. Haiti, I think, means nexus as a concatenated ring compositional poem, a Haiti in short, poem, Gothic poem, or my earnings, my just merits from the root Han with laryngeal, which occurs elsewhere in our text in the form Hata Marini that we discussed. So there is an ambiguity here. So it could be that the evil one makes attributions of fame, srawa, go the wrong way, or compositional words of a poem, namely Zarathustra, what Zarathustra is saying, makes the word srawa go the wrong way, and deprives one, moreover, of the ishti being either power or message, taking message, so to speak, as the srawa of the hati, of the poem, the hati of good mind.
Yeah, no, I don't want to go back too much to Ishti but is it related to Ish meaning refreshment in like Vedic, the Ishas, and all of that, and the or is that
Refreshments, yeah.
yeah,
Humbach loves ish as a refreshment because he thinks the whole thing is about offerings. But refreshment is refreshment, is that not our ish with the laryngeal that we were talking about?
yeah, I mean, yeah, if it's animation and that sort of
Vitalize,
yeah,
animating,
yeah.
vitalizing, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, is that I mean, I don't know. I just
So are you asking, is refreshment here too?
well, yeah, I mean, is it the same like that plurale tantum in Vedic, ishas, right? With that cerebral S. Um is that the same root as this verb that means to, I don't know, animate?
Etymologically, I think so. Uh, and that refreshing root definitely occurs in, yes, 50, as I recall, in a ring composition with Ija equals Vedic Ija or Ila. Can you see? Yes, no, 50.
It might be 50.8, off the top of my head.
Hold on. 50. Page keeps on shifting here. Okay. 50. Say 58.
Yeah, 50.8. First line. Ijayor.
Yeah. And but that should concatenate with something earlier, I think.
Maybe in 29?
No, within 50. That
Oh,
I mean,
within 50.
there's all this footsteps of, okay, 8 is 8 the footsteps of milk.
Yeah.
Um, Yeah, well, milk is refreshment, so um,
Yeah, I mean, there's also the Vedic Sanskrit
it's
ira,
50,
ira.
54, 54 as one hmm, as one hmm, places oneself. I think that should mean, unless it means walks. I don't know. Stonghat, 54 verse 50.4 verse C. Um, Kshatrachaya Isho Stonghat piety, apathy. Um, so one stands on the uh, path of Ish, which is like the footsteps of uh, Ija. Those concatenate. Uh, as for what Ija, as for what Ija, Vedic Ida is, offhand, I'm not sure. Is that the same root? I don't know. And you have any idea? Anyone have
Well,
any idea?
I mean, someone correct me if I'm wrong, but in Sanskrit you have ida, ida, right? Ila. And what I'm wondering about is whether this root could be connected with the root that we were talking about that means, I guess, to invigorate.
Yeah.
That is, you could view the if Garcia Ramon is correct, if the root ends in H2, you could view the H2 as suffixal, and you could reconstruct the root ultimately as laryngeal I S. I'm wondering about
And
that.
then what about uh okay, so that I see what you mean.
And so what I'm wondering about is whether Sanskrit ida goes back to a ijda with a D, and the D is it goes, ultimately goes back to a suffix da. I'm wondering about, I don't know if that makes sense, but
I don't think that works, does it, right? It's not a, are you asking about the verb? Or are you asking about the verb eid? That's what you're asking about.
yeah, well,
Worship?
there's so not the
No?
worship. I mean, there's what I'm wondering about is whether like we're talking about the root that I guess is associated with refreshment or invigoration, if such
Yeah.
a existed,
Yeah.
right?
So we have ish in 54 as a root stem. Yeah, genitive isho. Uh, and the question is it etymologically related to 50.8 a ija, which we have in the form ijaya. Um, so that is the question.
I mean,
Uh,
Andrew, asking about the noun id with a short I.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's the same as ish, right? I think the usual idea is that that has there must have been a nominative singular, right? Where you had uh, well, yeah, I don't know actually. I'm not actually sure what they say about that. But yeah, I mean, those are definitely the
I'm
same.
not either. It's an interesting question. I just don't know offhand. One can look in and, you
I
know,
mean,
Right.
buy a whole fund, the usual places. Hmm.
Yeah, I mean,
It can't have had an S in it though, right? Because that would give you a long I.
right.
Yeah.
So I mean there is that. Yeah, I guess so. I mean, yeah, you're right. Okay, I don't want to detain us with
Okay,
this, but yeah.
so he has robbed the Ishti, which is the welcome piety of good mind. Hmm. So all those.
But
Uh,
regarding the Buruch Dam,
yes.
you had mentioned that this was from a root Breg, right? Breg, Bhreg, plain velar G, and this meant to receive in like kind of it was a guest host relational, root. Um, and I'm wondering, Is this the root of the Burgu in Vedic Sanskrit, the particular that's kind of a sage being, it's a rishi sage being, the Brigu or Burgu? It looks like that would be, related.
That's an interesting question. From firstly, what I think before I think about that Hergu, what is Hergu, uh, is the Irish word uh, for mm,
Hostler.
the hostler, exactly, not the hustler, but the hostler,
Hostler.
hostler, hostler. Yes, yes, which is written and spelled, I can't pronounce Irish, Brigiu, something of the sort.
Brihu, yeah.
Oh, that's a huh?
Hmm.
Nice. Um, I think it is. Uh, Asab Hirgu, I'm not sure. I possibly fairly recently, I could be wrong here, but for some reason, uh, I associate the Laura Massetti with a discussion of this Brigu, but I could be wrong.
I
Um,
mean, she certainly did the Urbus,
yeah.
and maybe she did the Brigus as well. I mean, yeah.
Oh, wait, she did the which?
The Urbus, who are these craftsman figures? I mean, who are the Urbava, Michael? They're
Yeah,
Oh,
they're
no, you may
from
be right. I may be confusing a Ribhu with Pergu. I don't know. Burghu, Pergu. There is something interesting with Pergu. I don't know. Do you remember what it is, Michael? Pergu.
I mean, Burghu and Brihu, they could go together, right? Because Old Irish Brughu is a wote stem, right? So it's from a WOTS, and I guess you could make
Hmm.
that directly from the U stem.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Um,
right, and it has a
some
lengthened gradient.
semantic. I'd like some semantic link between the Brigus and the and between
Yeah, that's
Vedic.
what I wonder about. Yeah, I mean, I'm just curious about that. I don't really have,
What do the Brigus do? What is their characteristic?
well, I mean, I'm not sure. I know that there's a certain degree of yeah, I mean, I don't want to waste anyone's time. I'll have to get back on that.
Okay, well,
Yeah,
let's.
sorry.
Yeah, why don't you research that?
Yeah.
But as any Semite would know, this word brichla is just Aramaic word for blessed. Uh,
Yeah.
brichla, but
Well,
never mind. No, that's a joke. Um, I'll forget that one. Uh, okay. Um, yeah, it's indeed an interesting word, and you do have a root stem brj, br schwa r j, and brujia, and with one of those, hospitality is fairly clear. For this, welcome, um, esteemed. Uh, there's a Persian word, arzu, meaning desire, arzu, uh, which seems to be from abrjuka. Um, so there you have the idea of desiring something in Chotanese too. But the hospitable part, you have to look at the Brujia, uh, I think. Okay, so we've just translated as welcome. That'll do. The welcome hati of good mind. Um,
hey, I can read this out if you like. Just It's so a mythical race of beings closely connected with fire, which they find and bring to men, or enclose in wood, or put in the navel of the world, or which is brought to them and first kindled by Matarishvan. They are also said to fabricate chariots and are mentioned together with the Angirasas, the Atharvans, the Urbus, the Maruts, and the Druhyus. Okay, so that's basically what they are. They seem to be kind of, at least to me, consistent with, a root that meant to receive hospitably or whatever, or exchange.
Or maybe if they're connected with the hearth. Hmm?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. Anyway.
Okay, yeah. Something to think about. Um, so with this utterance, ta uchla, um, of my spirit, um, here's I complain uh, to y'all, your Shmibia, O Master, and including Asha. Uh, that's what I think. The Mazda Ashaicha, as I complain to all of you, in which there figures specifically thou Mazda and also Asha. It's curious grammatically, but I think that's what's going on. So all of you, O Mazda as well as two, as well as to Asha. That's all I'll say. More I don't know about that. That's what I think.
Marty, can I ask a question about Apo?
Oh, sure.
Yeah, why is it Apo and not Appa in that position there?
It's a good question. Do I have a good answer? Perhaps not, but I think it may be, here's one explanation, it may be analogous. When you have compounds whose first member is just a thematic stem followed by a noun, that tends to be replaced in our texts by a long O.
Hmm.
And maybe then by analogy, any uh, um, any floating could become O, not in Zarathustra's language, but somewhere in transmission.
Hmm.
At what stage, written or oral or written, of transmission, I'm not sure. I think it's a late business, and it must be discussed in the literature. I just don't know offhand what the explanation is, but it is. I mean, I think in Zarathustra's language, it was just appa. Um, okay. So I think this last line, Zarathustra is stressing that, okay, the Dushsashtis may make what he says go wrong by in some way co-opting, stealing, as it were, what he says, making, taking what he is saying, what he is revealing, and taking it, using it and taking it in the wrong way for their own purposes. And in this last sentence, he's saying, now this is me here. This is Zarathustra talking here with words of my spirit. It's as though, so it's like, this is real me talking and not what they co-opt of me. But that's my thought about that. Okay? The next stanza is very interesting because it is the clearest basis for his attitude toward the Halma cult. Yes, Duraush is mentioned later in the poem, I think in stanza 14, but you have a series of phrases here which all are found also in Yasta 9, verses 29 to 31. Not necessarily in this order, but the phrases occur. So the Ashibia Guarcha, sorry, Gam Ashibia occurs there. In the Yasta 9, the so-called Homiyash, the Wainanghe occurs there. The Wadar Wajdat occurs there, and Ashaune occurs there, and there may be more. So the phraseology of this matches the last part of the Hamyasht, and I conclude, therefore, that Zarathustra knew an earlier form of the Hamyasht, which he lampoons here, uses the vocabulary of it to twist it against, its cultic meaning, that is to say, twists it against the Halma cult, and that Halma is cryptically indicated here by the first two words, that huo, which everyone agrees is to be pronounced how, followed by ma. That ma then matches the ma of 32.9 B, apparently. And so the subject is na. A man makes words or fames, reputations go. That man, moreover, or that man, as far as with regard to me, makes reputations or words go in the wrong direction. That is the surface meaning of the text. However, if you read how ma as a single word, how ma, you get via hauma. A man does as follows. I don't think there can be a coincidence, really, that since so much of the vocabulary is from what has to be the prototype of the Homyasht, that there's not a play on Halma. I think there must be a play on Halma. By the way, among these words, for example, Wadar and Wojda. Wojda occurs with some kind of preverb api or something like that. And Wadar occur only in those verses of the Homyasht. So here is Zarathustra's specific identification of the Halma priesthood as the wrongdoers. Um, and so, and any remarks? So we can read, yeah. Uh,
Can you translate the first line?
yeah. Um, that man, moreover, uh, makes either words or reputations uh, go astray, or that man makes my words or reputations go astray, go to the wrong way. That person who uh, uh, oy, uh, who uh, who has what's a good word for who has what vowed, solemnly proclaimed uh, the that um, well, there's several possibilities, all of which are operated. That the worst thing is to see the sun uh, and the cow with one's eyes, or that the worst person will see the sun and cow uh, with his eyes. Uh,
Huh.
and, so when, wanang, hey, let's say that's just an infinitive, okay? But, um, so if he is the worst person, then he may say that he, whom we know is the worst person, will see the sun and the cow with his eyes. I'm leaving that word eyes alone for a minute. Or from our outside viewpoint, so he says that the worst person, namely, himself, will see the sun and cow with his eyes. This seems to be an eschatological sun and cow. In the afterlife, you will see the cow and the sun. So the syntax of this is highly ambiguous. Could there be a desire on the part of these people to say, the evil ones, to say that because they themselves are evil, that they have an antipathy, therefore they say that it's a very bad thing, it's the worst thing for one to see the sun and cow with one's eyes? I don't know. It's highly ambiguous. Or he can, yes, as Humbach has it here, he declares the worst thing in order to see the sun and cow with his eyes, which is a nice, safe translation.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like
Sasti. So he's saying the worst things. Yeah.
right. Well, I mean, it seems like the infinitive is not a very like well-developed category in Old Avestan. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, Humbach is just taking it as if it were just a verbal noun in the dative, like foreseeing. He says he
Yeah,
says the
but you mean you're
worst
taking.
thing
I don't
foreseeing.
know. I don't know if you. It looks like it's a dative of a stem wina. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's what it is. Yeah. But I would
Mm-hmm.
just, just
But at the same time, it's not like, I mean, because the root is, I mean, there is a, I mean, the verb, as a, okay, there is a thematic verb, vina, right, which means to see.
Yes.
But the issue is, like, it could not have, it could not be it has to be a derived present in terms of, its history. Because it couldn't be like you couldn't form a root that way in the proto language. So, I mean, what exactly is the origin of the verb to see in Iranian, this vina? I mean, it seems like it would be related to the Slavic word for war, vojna, in the sense that it's a pursuit. It's a like a tracking, not unlike the
Yeah,
situation.
you do have um a Vedic root V, I think Lenul wrote about that somewhere. Um, the sense of to track
Uh-huh.
something, ergo to follow with the eyes. So indeed, I think that this this word is related to that Vedic to track and maybe the Slavic war word and so forth. So yeah.
And it's very much like
Thing,
the
thing,
Germanic.
Andrew, is that there are hmm, so many other interesting features, the syntax, just how to put this together of the text. Uh, Apart from the Wainanghe, if we say Wainanghe, whatever it's the origin of this kind of thing, it works like an infinitive.
Yeah.
Then you got to worry about you know, what is a chishta? Is it the worst thing, or is it accusative of what? Uh,
I mean, it looks like a
his
neuter.
horse.
Like he says that it is the worst thing.
He is who? Humbach.
Well, no, no, never mind. If I were to take it, and I don't know what's going on, but it it seems like Zarathustra was saying
Saying a lot of
he who says the worst thing for the purpose of dativus finalis, for the purpose of seeing the cow with his eyes and the sun. That seems like the go-to reading.
yeah, but there are other possible implications. There are other possible,
Because seeing the sun, right? Seeing the sun, it means like to be alive.
yeah.
So it's a good thing. But you could say the word, you could do a bad
He
thing
does
with a
the
good
worst
end.
things. He says the worst things and so forth and so on.
He says the worst
My
thing in
point
order
is
for.
that the syntax is not clear and probably intentionally not clear. And within the text, we're going to see examples where there are several different perspectives whereby one is to understand what it means, where the evil people say things in one perspective, but we're to understand it from another perspective. And we'll get to that uh, in the text. But I'm fine with saying, yeah, he said that man, moreover, or via Hauma, moreover, one uh, um, avers the worst thing in order to see the sun and cow. And we can
Hmm.
have that. Uh, okay? Just to get
Yeah.
on with it. I mean, I think that is ultimately the ultimate uh, meaning, the ultimate takeaway. But there are other possibilities, um, uh, but this is the more relevant possibility. Okay?
Yep.
Marty, I'm going to have to run now. So, uh,
Um, and okay, how are you doing? See you then next time.
okay.
Sorry about the time snafu today.
Okay. See you next week. Bye bye.
Okay. Okay,
Yeah.
Michael. Be well.
Bye.
Um, so yeah, we had a short time, but I'm glad that finally we're into where the text gets really interesting. Um, Time-wise, how are you guys doing with regard to the time? It's
Well, I think that speaking for myself, I should probably prepare for my classes tomorrow.
okay.
We were having spring break and now it's over and now I gotta, you know,
Oh, okay.
I was doing research all week. I didn't couldn't grade anything. I just no anyway.
Yes. Yes, Olga. Um,
So, but
okay.
I will
Okay.
I